Welcome to Roadtrip WDW. I'm your host, Rebecca Schlau. This is episode 23, and I'm going to be talking about my experience doing the Christmassy stuff at Disney World. Hey guys, welcome back. Thank you all for being very patient with me. When I say you all, I probably mean just like my few friends that are tuning in. But if there's other people I don't know personally that are listening, sorry for my delay. We were very busy with Christmassy decorating, and Halloween's a huge deal for us too. So I just kind of put the podcast on the back burner. But I did do some other podcasting on my other podcast. If you are interested, check out Roadtrip Branson. And if you ever want to check in with us, sometimes we do post some episode, well, maybe not full episodes, but sometimes we just post some pictures and updates on the Facebook page, the Roadtrip WDW Facebook page. So if you haven't already, give me a look up over there and interact with me. I'd love to hear from you. So I just wanted to come on here and talk about my last trip. We just got back a few days ago. So I'm speaking to you now on December the 10th. We went to Disney World starting on Black Friday, y'all. We went the day after Thanksgiving. And I just want everybody to know this, that I typically do not recommend Disney World at Thanksgiving time because that week is very crowded. A lot of people have the same ideas, is that, well, one, my kids are out of school. Bing, bing, bing. Two, the weather's going to be great. Ding, ding, ding. But what people don't anticipate is that everyone has the same exact idea. Therefore, the crowds are huge. I mean, huge crowds during Thanksgiving week. So I knew going into this trip that we were going to be getting kind of the tail end of the Thanksgiving crowds. And just like with any Disney World trip, you really just have to plan. There's going to be long lines everywhere. Not just to get into the park, but there's going to be lines. It's going to be crowded. So you kind of have to manage your expectations. Originally, when I'd planned this trip, I decided we were going to do 7 nights, and I needed something cheap because typically we do a little Christmas trip, but we've never done Christmas at Disney World. This was a complete first for us. We usually go to Branson. And so this was a first time. So I needed something cheaper because when we do Disney, it's usually pretty expensive. And so I didn't really have the full budget of a typical summer family vacation. This was going to be, need to cost significantly less. Luckily, though, we had already had our annual passes. And so we didn't have to spend all that money on the tickets. And that, y'all, that saved a ton. So really, the main thing we needed to worry about paying for was going to be our room and our food. So originally I found a good deal this summer. They offered a promotion, I believe, for some of the resorts this December. You know what? I don't think there was a promotion going on. I think just this summer I knew that we were going to be going, and I believe I booked it either last year or sometime this summer. I booked the All-Star Music, and I booked a family suite. And this was going to be a surprise trip for the kids, so I didn't really talk about it, and I haven't really talked too much about it on my last episodes because I didn't want them to hear it. But this was going to be kind of a surprise trip. Okay, and then it seemed like this summer, then a promotion came out. Okay, that's where I'm getting kind of confused. A promotion came out that would save like 20 to 30% on other resorts. And so then I looked up the cost for the Boardwalk. Now, the Boardwalk is a deluxe resort. It's in a great location. It's walkable to Epcot and to Hollywood Studios. And for us, there was still availability this summer when we were looking at promotions for this specific time. Now, keep in mind, it was a very specific time. And I'd kind of wanted to add an extra day. I'd only booked for 7 nights, which for us still would have been amazing. But I realized we were going to be leaving our Thanksgiving family festivities a day early. So I really wanted to try to find a place to book for 8 nights, and there really wasn't too much available. And that was the other thing. Y'all really have to manage your expectations on what's available. Sometimes when a good deal comes out, there's not any rooms in the place you want to stay. And so one of the places that had availability from Black Friday to the next Saturday, that's 8 nights, was Boardwalk. Now, it's a deluxe. It's more expensive than I wanted to pay. However, with I think it was like a 30% rate, that was going to save us significant. And yeah, I ended up having to pay another extra $1,000. I wasn't anticipating paying, but, I sure do love a deluxe resort, and I certainly love having the access to those 2 different parks without folding up my double stroller. So anytime I can avoid folding up the double stroller, y'all, I'm going to go for it. It's worth it. So, and I've never stayed at the Boardwalk. That was another thing. I'd always stayed at the hotels around it. I love the Dolphin, the Swan and Dolphin. I love the beach and the Yacht and Beach Club. I love these resorts. We always go over to the Boardwalk to go to restaurants. We go to Ample Hills. We always go for the nightly entertainment, but I've never actually stayed there. So the chance popped up, and y'all, I took it. So we arrive at the Boardwalk a little bit later in the afternoon, and I was kind of worried because I'd heard that most of our standard rooms, and now keep in mind, I just got a standard room. I didn't pay any upgrades for a fancier room. I didn't pay anything extra except standard room rate. So I didn't expect a view or anything like that, like a nice view, But I did hear that there were some rooms at the Boardwalk that didn't have balconies, but most of them do. So I wanted to get there early enough to get a balcony room. When I'd pulled up, though, I did not do mobile check-in. And now, y'all, when you go to Disney World, you now have the option sometimes of just skipping the front desk altogether. So, but for me, because I wanted to kind of check on my room status to see if we had a balcony room, and, if we didn't have a balcony room, I was going to politely request to see if they had any balcony rooms. I didn't want to do that mobile online check-in. But if you're comfortable with your room, and most of the time we already have a room fully booked, and I have no need to go to the front desk. I just do the online check-in. It is super quick, super simple, and you skip the front desk. You just use your magic band and ba-boom, ba-boom, and you're in. When the room's available, they send you a text, you're in. You skip that whole check-in process. You just go straight to your room. But since I wanted to check in to see, the status of my room, I went. It was probably close to 3 or 4, so it was kind of late for check-in. It was about 3 or 4, something like that. I immediately pulled up. It was really easy to check in. There wasn't really anyone in line ahead of me. Sure enough, we did have a balcony room, and we put our bags down. Our room was just a standard hotel size room. I can't say it seemed any bigger than anything else. It did have a mini fridge, and I liked that, and it did have some, like a little counter above the mini fridge for a coffee maker. There was plenty good sized vanity area to get ready in with double sinks, and then they had a separate, like a door between you and the shower tub combo potty area. So that was nice. The room was plenty big for a couch and 2 queen beds, and it had a little desk. We ended up having plenty of room for my son's pack and play. Now, there's 5 of us, keep in mind. So we have two girls, 8 and 6, and we have a 2-year-old son who still sleeps pretty good in a pack and play. I was a little nervous about it, y'all, because this was a standard room, and originally I'd planned on booking a suite. And we've been spoiled lately. We have been totally spoiled, staying in bigger rooms with, a bedroom that closes itself off from like the other areas, or having like a big walk-in closet that can kind of fit the baby. I'm a really light sleeper. Ever since having kids, something about that mom hormone, something in my body will not let me sleep by a baby that makes noise. And so it's really difficult for me to sleep in the same room as him, or it has been. So this was kind of me checking out to see how well we would do. When we go on road trips and we have to stay overnight at a hotel on the interstate, I get through it, but it's not really that comfortable. Overall, though, we're good. I thought the space in the room was adequate. Also, I mentioned that couch. Now, it didn't fold out into your typical fold-out couch bed. It folded out really cool into like a single bed, and it was a lot more comfortable than those regular couch beds. So, which was great because we didn't need to sleep 2 kids on that couch bed. I slept in the bed with one of my daughters, and my husband, he had that other bed, which he could use sometimes. My son would sleep up there with him. because I just want y'all to know my son prefers my husband, and it breaks my heart. But that's a whole nother saga or therapy session that we won't get into today. So it was great. It was perfect for a family of 5, which made me feel good that we didn't all have to cramp up in the beds together, and we had plenty of space. So the room worked out great. I thought there was enough room in the mini fridge. Now, to me, in my opinion, I never think mini fridges get things cold enough. Like, it was fine for drinks, but I'd still, if I had some milk, I would still probably want to put it in some ice in the fridge, just because I like really cold milk. Like, if I was fine, like, I'm sure it meets all standards. Now, I'm not saying it's unsafe, but I don't know. Those mini fridges they just don't seem to get cold enough. Okay, next we decided to go explore a bit. One thing I'd heard about the boardwalk is that it's Christmassy. And, this was a Christmas trip, and this is my first time at Disney World, so I really wanted to hit these Christmassy highlights, because I knew this was probably our one-and-done trip at Christmas time, just because we are road trippers. We don't fly. It's kind of hard, to get down. So I knew I really wanted to maximize my enjoyment. So one of the things on the list, which was easy to cross off, was to explore the boardwalk's Christmas decorations. And y'all, they have the cutest gingerbread village. Like, it's the boardwalk. They have itself and some of the shops as gingerbread, and it's really cool. They also, right across from that gingerbread, if you get kind of hungry, just looking at the gingerbread, right behind it, there's also a table set up where you can buy cookies and gingerbread, and you can buy some like gingerbread martinis and some hot chocolate. So they have a little workstation up there. I mean, you have to pay for it, but it's still really cool. I saw the sign that said if you wanted to pay, I mean, it was kind of expensive. If you wanted to pay extra to do like a kind of a fancier gingerbread making thing there with, actual chefs there, you could. So I thought that was kind of cool that they had that available if you want to do like a little gingerbread making party with you and your family there. That would be awesome, because my kids, it seems so simple, but my kids love that sort of stuff. Like, as an adult, I've really had to kind of suck it up and say, okay, that just makes a mess. That's not really that fun, because for them, decorating that gingerbread house is so much fun. For them, wrapping a present is just, oh my God, that is so fun for them. So I really have to focus on that. And it is fun. And so it's nice to have kids to kind of bring me back to reality. But anyway, I didn't even tell them that there was an option for kind of a fancy gingerbread making thing there. But all the decorations are just beautiful. And the Disney resorts are so good about, they will tailor their decorations for the resort based on the resort they're at. So at the boardwalk, the decorations are, boardwalk themed and inspired. You're going to have like turn of the century sort of Ferris wheels and kind of carnival, like old timey carnival sort of feelings. You'll have like carousel stuff. The garlands are beautiful. The lights are beautiful. The decorations inside the lobby are just cute. I mean, it immediately puts you in the Christmas spirit. And that's another thing, the Christmassy spirit. Going to Florida is kind of weird, because I'm located in Arkansas, and y'all, it's cold. It's always cold here at Christmas time. We may have some rando weird 70-degree days and then some storms after it, but for the most part, it's chilly, but in Florida, it's not like that. And for me, I definitely associate cold with Christmassy, or Christmassy with cold. So it was a little weird going into this resort with 80-degree weather. But not to fear, that changes in the middle of the, a few days later. But it was kind of weird seeing Christmassy, trying to feel Christmassy in the middle of, heat. But it was fun. It wasn't even, no, I don't even say heat. That's wrong. I'm going to say like perfect weather. Like perfect springtimey weather. When I think of like perfect springtime weather, not too hot and definitely not too cold, like where you might maybe need a light jacket at night, but never gets too hot. I mean, y'all, the weather those first few days was amazing. I know why people love going there this time of year. The humidity wasn't there. I wasn't miserable. Like, I wanted to be outside. It was like, oh, I got to enjoy this. Like, when in Arkansas, when you have a day like this, everyone just goes outside because you never know how long this will last until there's a tornado or frost or, 100-degree weather with 100% humidity that doesn't rain. So we walked around the boardwalk. Now, with the boardwalk, it is a deluxe resort, so you're going to pay bigger prices, but you're also going to have restaurant options. The boardwalk, one of the complaints about the boardwalk that is, I've heard among various of my favorite podcasters, is that the restaurants at the boardwalk, the shops at the boardwalk, you do have to go outside to get to them. You actually have to go out kind of like the back patio of the boardwalk, which is the boardwalk, but you have to go out back of the resort and walk along a physical boardwalk, kind of like bridge feeling planks of wood, that sort of style, to get to shops and restaurants. So, if it's a rainy day, you still pretty much have to go outside to get into the quick service or kind of the fast food place, the deli, bakery place, the souvenir shop, the other restaurants. You still have to go outside. So, that was a little bit different, but it's still so great. It was amazing. It didn't bother us one bit. Y'all, I don't think it rained. I don't think it rained at all the whole time. And that was so weird. Going to Florida in the this was like November, I don't know, 28, 29, something like that, Black Friday, whenever Black Friday was. Y'all, it didn't rain at all. We're used to going to Florida in the summer, and it rains almost every day. I mean, we're always prepared with our ponchos, our poncho bag. So this was like weird that it didn't rain. So, of course, my kids, you know what they want first. They just saw a bunch of gingerbread. They want snacks. So we got to go get some snacks. And we head on down to the Boardwalk Bakery, and of course they have just amazing, lush treats staring you in the face. They have all these beautiful cupcakes and little tarts and pastries of everything. They also had some like sandwiches and stuff like that too. But my kids chose a big, like a cookies and cream cupcake and this layered peanut butter cake thing. Both were awesome, but that peanut butter one was amazing. Like, it was like a good peanut butter. Not like too sweet peanut butter, but it was like good buttery, salty. Not salty, but like good peanut butter taste. Layered cake. And it was really good. I mean, this was about, I'm going to say about 5 o'clock. I didn't want to overdo it because at 7:30 we did have reservations to eat at Splitsville. Splitsville is a dining location / bowling alley in Disney Springs. And so it was getting a little bit later. I didn't want to rush because I knew we had some time. We were going to drive there. So this was about 5 o'clock. It was still kind of light outside, but the sun was going down. It was just beautiful weather. Everyone seems to be in good moods. And so having those snacks on the boardwalk was just a perfect kickoff. I think we played a little bit on the yard, or maybe they looked around a little bit more, but then we had to go get ready to go out to eat. I don't know how we passed by like 2 hours, but the last thing I remember, it's dark, and then we're at the Grapefruit parking lot down at Disney Springs. Now, keep in mind, y'all, this is Black Friday, and I'm going to the shopping district of Walt Disney World, one of the most busy destinations in all the world, maybe the busiest destination or the most frequented, vacation destination in the entire world. I'm going there on Black Friday. So we ended up parking in this parking garage I never parked in. There's several different garages now that you can park in at Disney Springs, and I knew I wanted to hit Disney Springs at least once, maybe twice, because I knew they had a bunch of Christmassy stuff to look at. I figured it might be just too crazy to do it tonight, but I still wanted to either try or at least give a restaurant a shot. They have so many restaurants down in Disney Springs that, I mean, I don't know when I'll ever be able to try them all, but everything down there is just, it's lively. There's entertainment. The food is good. It's a great shopping atmosphere. The Christmas hustle and bustle is there. So we parked in Grapefruit parking lot. It was actually across the roadway, but they have like a walking bridge across the road. It's kind of a long distance for us because the place we were going was at the opposite end of Disney Springs. So we had to park really far away, but again, Black Friday, so we get what we can get. We go through massive amounts of crowds, which for us, we already expected it, so it doesn't seem weird to us. We're not like, oh, this is terrible. Look at all these people. We knew what we were doing. We knew what to expect, so we weren't mad about it. We expected it. We knew it was going to be very slow and go getting to our restaurant. So by the time we get there, it's around 7, and they were able to seat us early at Splitsville. Now, Splitsville, everyone usually thinks of it as the bowling alley, but what a lot of people don't realize is that it has amazing food, or so we've heard. And so we get in, we had to get in line. What was really cool is that we didn't have to park our double stroller outside of the restaurant, which you normally do. They just let us wheel it in, and they actually let us wheel it to the table. And the tables were nice. I don't know, like they reminded me of like what we'd sit in at dinner, like in the 80s. Like it was a, round table with rolly chair, kind of like rolly kitchen chairs. Not high tables, but it was great for kids and round, comfortable lighting. It was a real comfortable atmosphere. Of course, there's bowling lanes here and there. And right when you sit down, if you do want to bowl, they go ahead and recommend you go ahead and reserve your lane, which I'll talk about in a little bit. So as we're looking through the menu, I realized that, you know what, they take the Tables in Wonderland or the annual pass discount for this restaurant. And if you are an annual pass holder, a lot of times you get like 10% off at different restaurants, but if you pay even like a few $100s, you can get this Tables in Wonderland card, which will save you 20% off a lot of sit-down restaurant food and alcohol. And so for us, since I knew we were going to take a few trips to Disney World, we're going to go at least 3 with the family and once solo, which is coming up in a few months, I knew I wanted to go ahead and buy that. You know what stinks about that, though, is that when I sat down and I realized that I get a 20% discount, which at Disney World, that's a lot of money. I realized it was back in my minivan in the parking garage a mile away. But a lot of people would have been fazed by that and been like, you know what, forget it, it's not worth it. But by goodness, y'all, it was worth it to me, and I was going to go get my discount cards because I'm in running shape, y'all. I've been training for a marathon. I mean, I'm only up to like 6 miles or 3 miles, but whatever. I was going to go in the middle of that crowd, and I did. And we'd already ordered food, so luckily, so I missed like the first half of dinner, which was kind of fun because then my husband could wrangle the kids, and I went back to the car, and by the time I came back, my food was there, which was awesome. I had ordered something that was fantastic. They were these filet sliders. So normally when you order sliders, they're just little hamburgers. These were filet sliders, and they were so good. They came with this horseradish sauce that was supposed to be on top of it because I didn't know if I'd like it or not. I hadn't put them on the side, but it was really good. I'd also ordered a side of the French fries, like the house-made fries that came with this chive sour cream dip stuff, and that was super good. Both of mine were technically more on the appetizer side. They weren't actually entrees, so it's like I got two appetizers, and they were so good. Now these sliders, I mean, they weren't cheap. I mean, they were still like, I still paid like $16 for them, but it was totally worth it. I don't eat a ton, so my husband was able to try it. The French fries were awesome, and that sauce that came with it, that chive, like sour cream dipping sauce, that was so good that they brought my daughter out a little bit to dip her stuff into. I think she may have got like a cheeseburger or like a pizza, and I think she was dipping that in there. So the kids had some pizza. That's right. They had pizza. I'd heard good things about their pizza. they liked it. They didn't complain. And then my husband had some sushi. Randomly, they have sushi, and randomly, it's delicious there. So they have a very eclectic, unique menu. It's different than you'd expect for a bowling alley. It's way more. This is like gourmet bowling alley, I guess, what you would call it. So after dinner, by the way, we had a fabulous waitress. I wish I could remember her name. It was great service. Great service all around. We had already signed up for bowling. I did get a discount. I did get an annual pass discount on my bowling as well. So I saved us a little bit. I opted not to bowl, and that is because, y'all, it was $22 per bowler. So, no. That was not going to be something I needed to do. The kids were already pumped about bowling, so I kind of had to follow through because that was a battle I just wasn't willing to put up with. I was like, all right. I knew I was going to end up paying for bowling, and what should I expect to pay? I mean, I know it's Disney. I was thinking I was going to pay $50 maybe, but no, I ended up paying like closer to $70. So I paid for my 2 older girls and my husband to bowl, and I told everybody, y'all need to let your little brother have a ball every now and then, because I did not want to pay for him either. And if he would have got his own bowling time, I would have had to pay $22 for a 2-year-old. So they were very cool about giving him some complimentary bowling shoes just to be fun. And y'all, that was plenty. We had like an hour and 15 minutes of bowling time. They put us upstairs. There's an escalator in there, and for some reason my kids love escalators. It was a great time to kind of practice how to ride it. I know that sounds weird, but my kids wanted to practice getting on and off an escalator. So I did that. I liked this bowling alley. It's one of those bowling alleys that has these little, they'll put up the lane things to protect your kids from just put in the gutter. They have the gutter rails. They also have the positioner where the ball will roll off this device, this little, I don't know, kind of reminds me of a kind of a walker, kind of the walker. It kind of helps them aim, and they just put it on and push it off of it. They don't actually have to be great at throwing it, and they loved it. They had a great time. My son, he's 2.5. He's hit this point though that he has hit as this wild age. Like, this was the moment it all came out that my son goes wild and crazy on vacation, more than he had in the past. Like, he is free bird now. Like, he is loving it. He wanted to lay in the middle of the floor in front of people. He didn't care. He wanted to run. Anytime he had a taste of freedom where a parent wasn't like gripping him, he would run to the middle behind. Now, he wouldn't always try to run in the bowling lanes, which he did do several times, but he would he would just run behind us, roll around on the floor, do these yoga poses, and I'm just constantly like, I'm so sorry to all the waitresses and people that are walking by, and it was fun. I mean, he wasn't really disrupting anybody per se, but he did go and push the buttons of the bowlers next to us several times. Luckily, it didn't do any damage, but we never had to really, I don't know, we've always watched him, but we never had to worry he was going to be destructive like that. So this was our trip that we realized we now have a wild child, and he is going to go crazy, and we have to supervise him even more than normal. So I was totally fine not bowling. I don't know, something about being on family vacation. I like to do stuff, but as long as my kids are doing stuff, as long as everyone else is having fun, because I planned it. I just want everyone else to have fun. Then I feel complete. So they were great, and it was, by the time we left, I mean, it was probably close to, I don't know, 9:30, 10, but for us, that's an hour ahead of us. So one of our traditions, one of our first days, usually our very first day that we go to Disney World, we tend to go check out Disney Springs, and we head to Goofy's Candy Company, and that's the candy store. They also have treats, bakery stuff, Rice Krispies, dipped chocolates, dipped apples. They have all sorts of goodies there. That's our treat place. And so we walk over there. I always allow my kids to pick out a bag of candy. It's one of those self-serve candy stores. You just pick what you want in a bag. I usually help the kids. It's kind of a long exhausting process to be fair, but we get through it. Now, keep in mind, I use these bags of candies also as bargaining, punishment, reward situation. So I like to get in a treat bag right away because I know I can always take away treats or give treats away if they're being bad. So the candy is a great way to immediately have some leverage over my children rather than just the typical go to timeout. So I like it when I get some leverage. I get creative with my disciplinary techniques on vacation. And y'all, I need it. My kids are bad. Like, I feel like they're well mannered. Like they're good to other people and they're respectful, but not to each other. They are the most horrible beasts to each other you can ever imagine. My girls are so mean. Like they are just mean to each other, and then they tattle and they're more mean. And then my son's gotten into it too. He just wants to tackle them. Like he thinks they are for tackling. His big sisters are solely there to let him tackle, and he will full on tackle them no matter where they are. He wants to, like, he will take them down. He will hold on to them, drop his weight, and they will have to drop to the ground. There's no way around it. He is a beast. So the kids are constantly fighting. Like it just feels like, and that, y'all, it's just our normal life. It's no different at home than it is Disney. But I do like to have some leverage tactics at Disney to have other methods of discipline in the middle of crowds. So candy is our way. Of course, I got my typical treat, which is a Mickey-shaped Rice Krispie treat on a stick that's dipped in chocolate, dipped in M&Ms. So great. They make it fresh there, so it's perfect. I love that store because I love walking around and watching them make the treats. So to me, it's kind of an experience in itself. Going to Goofy's Candy Co. is not about just getting snacks, although I don't recommend going in that store if you're not fully prepared to get yourself or your kid a snack. Otherwise, it is pure torture. But if you know you're going to go ahead and get a snack, go ahead and go in there, watch them making the treats. They dip chocolates, they make cotton candy, they do a lot of stuff in front of you. There's glass windows so you can watch this process, and it's fascinating and delicious. It reminds me of the opening credits to Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory. You're just watching them make stuff, and it's like, oh, so good. And then you just buy it. You just buy whatever you want. You're going to pay a lot of money for that treat, but whatever. You're going to pay $10 for a caramel chocolate apple, but it's going to taste amazing because Disney food is amazing, right? So at that point, I think we looked around at some shops. My kids wanted to pick out a toy, and for me, I was okay with them picking out a toy right away because I learned the hard way last time that sometimes the toys that they want to buy are gone by the end of the week. I learned that the hard way last time. The kids had money saved from different things, birthdays, or they'd saved their own money, so they used their own money to buy a few toys. And I mean, I did kind of persuade them at times. I kind of put my mommy advice out there, and they picked pretty good toys that were good and portable. My daughter picked some Legos at the Lego store, and my other daughter picked a cute little play set that she could easily pack up and take with us. One of the reasons why I'm okay with a toy is because sometimes when you go to dinner, especially if you're back at the hotel or they're playing in the hotel, this gives them something to do in the hotel room. If you don't bring any toys with you, like if you're on a trip, if you don't bring any toys with you, they're going to find ways to keep themselves busy. And a lot of times for us, it is being destructive, arguing with each other, or fighting over a phone or a tablet. So by buying them some sort of engaging toy while we're there, that really helps them stay focused, entertained, and then they actually play good together. Like when they have a toy set, they'll play together. So it was perfect. They both really enjoyed playing with their toys all throughout the week. I don't believe I let my son pick out a toy at this point. He's just a baby. He wants everything. He just wants to tackle his sisters. That's all he wants to do. So by this point, we go back to the resort because it's time to go to bed. We've had a late day, a late night, and I knew the next day we needed to wake up, and I believe that was our Epcot day, the very next day. My goals for Epcot, my personal goals for Epcot, were all about the food. Oh, God. During the holidays, y'all, man, Epcot does it right. Epcot has the Festival of the Holidays, and they usually have tons of little restaurants and bites you can get at different places in Epcot, but during any sort of festival, like this one, the Festival of the Holidays, they'll have little booths around the World Showcase, which is where all the countries are, Germany, England, France, that sort of thing. They have other little booths all throughout that with all these tiny tasting plates, kind of like tapas. They'll have like appetizer size portions of all these different foods to try. So when we booked this trip, I knew I wanted to hit Epcot a lot, which is another reason why the boardwalk was so appealing to me, because I knew I wanted to go to Epcot. And I love walking to Epcot while the rest of the family's sleeping. So Epcot for me is a big foodie paradise. So when we get to Epcot, just keep in mind, we already had some fast passes booked. We had booked those 60 days out. Actually, here's my confession. I don't know if I told y'all this. I miss my fast pass day. And that may seem no big deal, but y'all, it's a big deal when you miss your fast pass day. On the day that you are allowed to book fast pass, if you don't, you will miss those very popular ride fast passes, which means if you ever want to ride them during your trip, you're going to have to wait in a line, or you're going to have to get there really early. And I just didn't really want to do too much road dropping this vacation. I didn't want to do too much. I knew I have to do some of it, but I really didn't want to rope drop. Luckily for our Epcot day, I snagged a Frozen Ever After, and that's the Frozen ride. And that one is it's great for a fast pass. The other fast passes I could have picked were like Soarin' or Test Track. Those are both family favorites. But I chose Frozen because my son can ride it. The other two rides, the other kind of bigger attractions, my son is not tall enough to ride yet. So I wanted to do something he could do. Plus, y'all, he loves Frozen so much, and he just loves it. And every time we go back, he's kind of hit a different milestone of his like understanding as a human, like when we went this summer, I mean, he was cool. Like, he was cool and collected at everything. This time, though, he's 6 months later, he's all a little bit more excited, so he's getting to that point where things are exciting to him. And all of us love that. Like, all four of us love watching baby brother get excited about things. Even my girls do. And they still love riding the rides, too. So we had a Spaceship Earth reservation. I think it was something like mid-morning. It may have been like 10. I didn't really start the day off too early because I knew we probably were going to have a late night and didn't want to wake up early. We walked over, we hit Spaceship Earth. Spaceship Earth is inside the big ball, the big Epcot ball, the huge oversized golf ball. It's called Spaceship Earth, and it's a slow moving ride. It's more of an educational tour sort of thing. I love it. I love all the scenes, the animatronics. I think it's great. My kids like it because they just like to look at stuff. They don't necessarily understand the whole dynamic. They just think stuff's cool to look at. But so it satisfies us in that it's technically a ride, and my son can ride it. But also for me, it's pretty interesting. They let you do they take your picture when you first start the ride, and they'll end up using that later towards the end of the ride for some cool little graphics. So it's really neat. They allow up to 2 to 3 people per seat. So my husband rode with my son and my older daughter, and me and my youngest daughter had to ride right behind them, which is fine. You could still, if we yelled, they could hear us and stuff. So we were still close. We still felt like kind of together as a family. We were in a different row. So I guess we were in the same car, just different rows. So we were just kind of right behind him. But you're separated by higher seats and a little computer screen. But anyway, this ride is cute. It, for some reason, in the mornings or middle or afternoon, there gets a long line. But a lot of times, I don't necessarily need a fast pass to this. But we've always used our fast pass here just because at Epcot, Fast passes are tiered, and this is usually one that we can snag. Since it's a tier 2, we can't snag any more tier 1s, and I mean, we've always used it pretty good. If we go morning, there's usually a 25, 30-minute line. It may not be necessarily worth it, but I do like skipping it. So get in line. Now, my 2-year-old, he doesn't have to have a park ticket. So he technically doesn't have to scan his little magic band every time we go in the fast pass line, but he wants to. So just keep that in mind, y'all. If you have a 2-year-old who's coming and he'll get a magic band, or they'll get a magic band, go ahead and put that poor baby's magic band on. Even if it's not linked to a park ticket, it can't unlock anything. They just want to be like the big people. They just want to pretend. And the cast members are so great about humoring our children. I'm telling you, they are really great about that. Next, we headed over to Living with the Land. And Living with the Land is a ride I haven't done in a few years. I love it because, again, it is, I don't want to call it educational, but it really is. It's like a tour of Epcot's food, gardening, greenhouses. Like, there's some greenhouses on site in the Land Pavilion, and you get to go through it. But there's also some really cool scenes with some animatronics to look at. Since you're in this building, you're in the Land Pavilion, you can actually kind of look up at one point and see some people eating at Garden Grill. And so to me, it's a really neat ride. The kids loved it. They loved looking at stuff. Plus, when you go in the greenhouses, it shows you different fruits and vegetables that they're growing, and the kids love calling out, like, oh my goodness, there's a pepper. Oh my God, that's corn. I mean, it's so random, but it was really cool. Now, Living with the Land, for us, it was a great fast pass because there was a huge line that day. But Living with the Land, typically when we go in the summer, really doesn't have a line. It's kind of a burner. You don't want to burn your fast pass on it, but I'm glad we did. Now, it usually closes. It's one of those weird rides. I think like the Figment ride, it closes early. So if the park closes at 9, it typically closes like at 7. Something ridiculous. Something that I remember it kind of irritated me once because I was like, I'm here. I want to ride this ride, and it's closed early. But during Christmas time, they keep it open late, so 9:30. And I hear if you go at night, there's more Christmas lights and things to look at. We were there during the day. We did not get a chance to ride it again during night, but we could see some like sand snowmen. We could see where they did some decorating, and it was really cool. You also get to like see live fish in the tanks and stuff like that. So we had a great time going on Living with the Land, and at that point, it was time for our Frozen Ever After. We walked over there, no problem. We decided after our Frozen Ever After that it was time to try some different lunchy things. And this is where we didn't have to worry about booking an actual table service restaurant. We didn't even have to worry about going to a fast food place. We went to the different booths, the different food booths. And I knew we wanted to try a lot. So I think we started over there in the Chinese Pavilion. They had a little booth there. And we tried a few things as a family. I mean, I think I got maybe 2 items. We went to a few other countries and we tried items here or there. I think I'm going to just do a whole episode about the food because I do want to talk about that. It was really great. There's a few things I went back for seconds, like without my family, so I didn't have to share. I do believe when we went to the Germany Pavilion, I'll just go ahead and tell you all this. Every time I go to Epcot now, from now on to I think the end of time, I will go to the caramel store. It's called like caramel. Y'all, I don't want to say it. It sounds. I don't know how to say the store. It's like caramel coochie or coochie something, y'all. It's called like, me and my friends will call it caramel coochie, but I know that may not be accurate. But it looks like Kuche, whatever. I'm not German. You know what? But my last name's German, but I don't speak German. So anyway, we go to the caramel store and we get the caramel popcorn. The caramel popcorn is so good. And y'all, I'm not really a caramel popcorn eater. Like, I don't go get Cracker Jacks. I don't want Crunch and Munch. That's not me. But if I did, And even if I'm not, this stuff is so good. I mean, it's so fresh. They make several batches all throughout the day. Like, you're getting, most of the time it's still a little warm. You see the butter dripping in. It's still kind of sticky. It smells so good in this place. Even if you don't buy anything from this caramel store, it's like a caramel bakery. You go in this big bakery case and everything is caramel, caramel, caramel. Everything you can imagine caramel. It smells so good. It's a mixture between caramel and, well, a lot of times popcorn. You smell the popcorn, like fresh popcorn, and then just mixed with this like vanilla-y caramel smell. It is intoxicating. It is so, like, you want to eat that air. Whatever that air smells like, you want to eat it. And I do. I go get that caramel popcorn. I go get the caramels. I get a caramel butter bar. That is my favorite. That's my favorite treat spot, maybe in all of Disney World. Yeah, I've said it. Caramel Kucha is my favorite. My favorite treat destination in Walt Disney World. So we tried a few other places, but at this point it was time for a nap, and kids, we all strolled on back to our resort. Have I mentioned how I love being able to walk to my resort? Because if I haven't said it, I just want y'all to know that's why these resorts, they're deluxe. That's why you pay the big bucks for it, because it's convenient. It is so convenient. We didn't have to worry about a bus. We didn't have to worry about anything like that. We were able to right away stroll back to our hotel, which is, I don't know, a quarter of a mile away, like not very far. It's a beautiful walk. I mean, you're on Disney property. I mean, it's right in Epcot's back door. You hear the music, you see the sights. It's beautiful, and the weather again is amazing. So the sights are amazing. Now my girls and my kids in general, they are obsessed with pools and swimming. Anytime there is a swimming pool, that is one of their must-dos. Now my husband and I can kind of take it or leave it. I'm a big hot tub person all the time. I'm all about a good hot tub. But my kids insist on swimming. So while my husband and 2-year-old son took a nap, which, let me just tell you, the boys need a nap. While they napped, I took the girls to the pool at the boardwalk. Boardwalk has a very unique pool. Where do I start? I love it. It's themed really well. It's themed a boardwalk area. They have this walk-up bar where you can get food and drinks, and it's like this. It's a big old-fashioned carousel, so it's great. Kind of like under the tent, like a big top tent-looking thing. They have a big slide. The slide is fashioned after a old-timey roller coaster on the boardwalk. So, a big wooden roller coaster is actually the slide. It is the exit of the slide where you come out of that has a lot of people talking about the boardwalk, which makes it memorable. It is a huge, it is a huge clown head. It is a huge clown. You start at this big you go up this roller coaster slide. It is a fine slide. It's not a huge, scary slide by any means, but it looks like a roller coaster. But you exit out the clown's mouth. There, I said it. Okay, I got through it. It is a big clown face, like. You can't look at this pool without seeing a huge clown. If there's any people who get really terrified of clowns, or like the movie It, like if you are really afraid of clowns, just don't go. Like, this thing is it's so funny. I mean, what in the world were they thinking? I love it though. Keep in mind, I love it. I love scary clowns. It has it looks like its hair is made of big SpaghettiOs, but the kids, I guess adults too, but the kids come out of the clown's mouth. So I loved it. I thought it was hilarious. The slide's fine. It's fine. And I didn't see them monitoring anyone for height restrictions or restrictions on gear to wear. So puddle jumpers and stuff like that, I'm sure are fine. There was not a lifeguard on top, monitoring the size of the kids or anything. So I kind of think I could have put my 2-year-old on this slide, but there was a lifeguard at the bottom. But the pool, it's big enough. It's not a huge pool. it was plenty big for us. They had, right when we went down there, they were playing some pool games, and we were able to kind of jump in some trivia. They had some little shallow areas, so my one 6-year-old could kind of practice swimming. She loves practicing swimming, which also means, I'm just not relaxing at all. These vacations with these kids are not relaxing because, you think swimming with the kids, that sounds great. That sounds like a great time. And unless you have a kid that doesn't swim, and then you're just like, oh my God, always in drowning awareness mode. So, but luckily there was a cute little area where she could practice swimming, where she didn't have to get in the bigger part. And after going down the slide a few times, I was done with the pool. The kids wanted to, I think I went to go get like a Diet Coke, but I was always able to keep my eyes on them, even walking up to the walk-up bar. And they were able to stay in this little section. And it was a little chilly. Now, it wasn't, if you weren't in the pool, the weather was perfect. But once you get out of like a heated pool, it's just kind of cold. So once they got out, they were cold. And so we got a bunch of towels, got bundled up. They had a great time. There's also a little playground area, which we do like. It's a cute little playground right by the pool area. So there's a lot to do in that area. Again, there will be no avoiding the big clown. You will see it. It is the centerpiece of the pool. Now, if you do not like clowns and maybe you're not worried about a slide, I do recommend going to one of the other pools. There is a quiet pool that we were closer to, and I think there's a DVC pool. They have another pool. So I think there's actually 2 other pools that are supposed to be more quiet, no rowdiness. They have hot tubs in them too. And I actually used the hot tub to the quiet pool once. But that's how you can avoid the clown mouth. I did notice that in some of the Disney World hotel pools, they're so popular, they have to put a scanner on, so you have to scan your magic band to get to this pool to avoid, outsiders getting in, because you can't pool hop. Like, even if you're staying on property, I can't just roll up to Yacht and Beach Club and go to their pool just because I like it, even though I used to do that back in the day. So a lot of the pools have electronic means to prevent others from getting in. But what do you know? The Boardwalk's clown pool is a free-for-all. They are not checking magic bands. Now, I'm not advocating for y'all to, break rules. But if you do want to go check it out, go check it out. You can go look at it. If you're strolling at the boardwalk anyway, you might as well walk through to go see this thing. Like, y'all need to see it in person. You need to see it. It's very, Facebook, Instagram worthy. All right. So after this, it was time to get my daughters to take a nap as well. Now, remember, my son and husband are already asleep, but I need my big girls to go to sleep because I want to go back to Epcot and eat food without them. Because when I ate at lunchtime, I got like 2 bites in. Because I'm the mom, I'm the doer, I'm the Disney World kind of expert of the group. So I'm always going and gathering food for everyone. I'm going to go here and get you this and go here and get you this and go. And so by the time it's really time for me to sit down and eat, everybody's already eaten everything and it's all picked through. So I really wanted to go back to Epcot, that short walk, and I wanted to try some things. But also I wanted to go ahead and start our little cookie stroll scavenger hunt. Epcot has a different little holiday themed things you can do throughout the holidays. And one of the things I was really intrigued doing was the cookie stroll. And so when you enter in Epcot, there's little stands and you can get this brochure. And sure enough, right when you walk in, there's a festival passport. It's called a festival passport. It's free. It's like a brochure. And it tells you all the neat holiday things and all the holiday kitchens. Those are those food booths. And then also in the very back, it has all the cookies from the different countries that are part of the cookie stroll. And so what you do is, after you buy these cookies, there's I think 5 or 6 on the list. After you buy the 5 cookies in these different locations, you get a stamp. And if you collect all of the stamps at each of the countries, you've spent that money on every cookie in all the specified locations, then you get a free cookie and milk at another location. And so now this sort of scavenger hunt was right up my alley and my kids' alley too. This was something to really keep them entertained. But it's not always easy to do in one day. So since I went ahead and got a head start, I went ahead and got a gingerbread cookie for my kids. I also tried some other food, which I'll go over another time. But I tried a few little food booths and just walked around, got some pictures around Epcot. And then once my husband and kids woke up from their nap, they took like a 3-hour nap. They were so tired. They met me back up, and we met up in the England pavilion. In the very back, there is like Father Christmas in his green, and he looks like Santa, but in green. His big green robes, and he was telling a Christmas story, and it really wasn't that crowded. Now, this is the Saturday after Thanksgiving. Keep in mind, it is more crowded than normal, but for me, it really didn't seem that bad. We were able to go through a few other cookie booths and get the stamps, and that was fun. And now it was getting towards the end of the night. We were able to go to the character spot at the very end of the night. We're talking like 9 o'clock, and we walked right up to different characters. We walked pretty much right up to Baymax, the big fluffy Baymax. Y'all, he is so adorable to take a picture with. He's just like big and fluffy, and you can just like hug him. He's like a big old air balloon pillow. I don't know. And we were able to meet Mickey and Goofy and Minnie, and so we were able to get some good character pictures. My family were still at that age where meeting characters is still kind of a big deal for them. They like to do it. I know for me, I'd much rather go on a ride, but whatever. Again, the kids love doing it. But for them, it's kind of like a ride, meeting these characters. And so I got lots of cute pictures and videos of that. And we caught the tail end of some fireworks at the very end, but I think after we met those characters around 9, we raced over to Soarin'. And by this point, since at the end of the night, and we didn't have a fast pass, the lines weren't going to be too long. And we knew that going into it, that the lines weren't going to be too long. So we'd already kind of put that on the agenda. We didn't actually end up having to wait in the normal line, though, because earlier that afternoon, I hadn't mentioned this, after we had gone on our 3rd ride, Frozen Ever After, I was able to get back on the Disney World app, and I was able to find another fast pass for Test Track. And that was available, from 8:30 to 9:30, something like that. And that was perfect for us because we were going to be there. It just popped up. We got really lucky. So after you do all 3 of your, fast passes that you booked in advance, get back on the app immediately. Right when you tap in to that last fast pass, go ahead while you're in line. Go ahead and research if there's other fast passes available for later in the day. So I had. Now that day, Test Track had gone down. They had a maintenance issue, so it closed down. The fast pass you get then becomes like an any ride fast pass for that park. So when we went to Soarin', we were all able to use a Soarin', the fast pass, because we couldn't get into Test Track. We were able to parent swap as well. So they scanned my band and my girls' bands, and after my husband took the 2 girls and I stayed with my son Noel, they were able to let me back in and scan my band back. Now, I don't think I had to use my fast pass either. Now, obviously my fast pass was null and void at that point, but just keep that in mind. They didn't take it out. So, I really could have gamed the system there, but I didn't. Went back on Soarin' with my kids. They loved it. While we were on Soarin', my husband walked right on over to Nemo, and that's something to do. Y'all, you don't have to, when your little kids are too little to ride the big rides, there's usually something fun for them to do close. And the Nemo ride usually has no line, and it's something fun for kids to do. Plus there's an aquarium. So instead of waiting on us, even if you have a fast pass for like rides like Soarin' and some of these other rides, you still have to wait in kind of a long line, in my opinion. Like a lot of times, if you wait in the regular line, you're going to wait 45 to 50 minutes. If you go fast pass route, you're still talking about a 20-minute wait because there's still like pre-show stuff. They still have to get you divided. I mean, you're still going to have to wait a while. It's not just going to be fast pass to the very front of the line. You're in a fast pass with all the other people in line for fast pass. So it's like huge line versus mini line. Let's put, so there's still going to be time to kill. So they rode Nemo a few times, and we all just walked back. And the Christmas decorations at Epcot are cute. There's big trees and different little vignettes here and there that are all Christmassy. And so it was really a great first park day at Disney World. This was obviously our second night, but it was a great first park day. It was a really full day. I felt really accomplished. Now the day wasn't quite over yet, because again, we're staying at the boardwalk. The boardwalk stays open later. Yeah, it stays open after all the parks close usually. And when I mean it stays open, I mean the food places stay open, because that's what I want. It's almost like at the end of the night, even though I've already had dinner and maybe some snacks along the way, it's like at the very end of the night, I'm walking back, I definitely want a snack. And what do they have right there staring me in the face? Yes, they have the ice cream parlor, Ample Hills. I am not a huge ice cream person, y'all. It's not one of those things I have to have, I crave. I'm not like, oh my God, I need to get a treat for myself. I'm definitely going for ice cream. I'm just not that. My kids are, but I'm not that. But y'all, Ample Hills, I've told y'all this before if you've listened, but they have this ooey gooey butter cake sundae that is just to die for. Just amazing. And I never can eat it by myself, so it's a good shareable thing. So I got an ooey gooey butter cake sundae for me. I may have got one for my kids. I can't remember if we all shared one or we got a separate one. But whatever. We stopped there, got an ooey gooey butter cake sundae. Loved it. Loved it so much. Shared. And that was how we ended our day. The kids took showers. Because we had stayed out late that day, we were going to take it easy the very next day. So the very next day, I'd had planned to be a water park day. So yes, in December, there is at least one water park open if the temperatures allow. This was going to be a great day, going to get up in the 80s. The water is heated at water parks, so that's what we had planned. I'm going to go over our water park day and what all we did for the rest of the trip on some later episodes. I'm getting tired of talking, and you're probably getting tired of listening to me ramble on. I do these trip report shows. I mean, I guess I do it for everybody. My husband really wants me to get these out, but for me, it's almost like a trip diary. It's like a trip journal. I love going back and not necessarily listening to myself talk, because that is kind of weird, but I like the prep work that comes with these episodes. I have to take a lot of pictures. I take a lot of pictures of food. I take a lot of pictures of what we do, because I want to be able to remember it, not just for the podcast, but for myself. So this podcast is a way to help me document, I guess, our family adventures. And I love that. And I love the work. Every night before I go to bed, I kind of document a few things that we did. So that I would remember them. Or I made sure I go through my pictures. I made sure I remember them. So I'm a bit excessive when it comes to picture taking. I'm fine with that. I don't care. I got enough storage on my phone. It doesn't hurt anybody. So I take a lot of pictures. I do take notes. And it really helps me remember the vacations. I don't forget the small details as much as I normally would. So I know not everyone has a vacation podcast, but I highly recommend that y'all follow some of the same tips and document, like before you go to bed at night, just jot down what you did, good and bad. Like even the funny, like temper tantrums, those can kind of be funny. Like I've shown my kids pictures and things that we've done, and even old food pictures they love looking at. So try to make some sort of journal for yourself. You won't regret it. It usually only takes a few minutes of your time each day. Just try to do it each day. So that's going to do it for this episode. So long, road trippers. See you real soon.